I'm Rick Van Wieren from RE/MAX Properties, and I want to talk to you today about the buyer's inspection of your new home. We may have talked about some of these things on the phone or in person already, and we may talk about some of them at the inspection, but I want to make sure that we cover some of them in advance of the inspection and in addition to what I've already told you, just to make sure that you've got all the stuff. The first item I want to talk about is Colorado law, and under Colorado law, the inspection paragraph 10 of the contract is what governs all the inspection parameters. So it's a great paragraph to re-review of your real estate contract. Under Colorado law, the seller does not have to fix, the buyer does not have to buy. So it's very much a negotiation. And what we like to do is make sure that we get the proper items fleshed out at your inspection so that we're asking for the appropriate things and that they get taken care of by the appropriate party. There are several kinds of inspections that we're going to talk about as well. The first one is the one we normally just call the inspection, which is your general inspection of the property. We recommend that be done by a NAHI or ASHI certified inspector that is insured. And that's a very important thing because the buyer is actually responsible for any damage that happens to the property as a result of inspections. So it's a very important thing. There are other inspections, however, that do come into play. Radon is very prevalent along the Front Range, and your inspector will normally also be able to do a radon inspection. We do have air quality inspections that we'll sometimes do, especially if we're concerned there might be mold or prior meth lab or some other thing that could affect the air quality of the house. This doesn't happen on every house, but it is something that you should be aware of in case it does come up on yours. Insect and wood destroying insect inspections are also something that you see in a lot of other states. We do sometimes get termites here, but they're isolated to just certain areas, and so your regular inspector normally will look for evidence that there's been any kind of wood destroying insect, and he'll recommend additional inspection for that if it's required. We also do water quality inspections if there's a well involved. We like to make sure that you're getting clean water from your well, and we have septic inspections that we do if there's a septic system involved. Last of all, if the house is showing any signs of structural damage, inappropriate amounts of settling, cracking in the concrete foundation walls, or other things that would just be of concern to your inspector, we recommend getting a structural inspection as well. If you're really lucky and the house is in great shape, we do just generally the first inspection, and that kind of takes care of all those things. Now, I'd like to talk a little bit about standard business practices or other things that I would just call kind of norms of real estate transactions in Colorado. The first is that the items that we raise out of your inspection are going to be in the category of safe, sound, and sanitary. And what we're looking for here is that if we've got any safety issues with the house, electrical problems, latches that don't work, broken windows, things that could be safety issues for the house, we like to make sure those get taken care of. The second thing is for soundness, and what we're looking for here, we want to make sure you've got a sound roof, that your appliances are sound and in good shape, that your windows are all sealing properly, and that the house is secure. And then last of all, that it's sanitary, that we don't have any plumbing or sewer leaks or anything like that that could make for an unsanitary living environment for you. Also in the category of Colorado customs, one of the things we want to make sure that we talk about is the fact that your inspection is not Christmas shopping time. We're not looking to come up with just a laundry list of things that we want the seller to do for you. Those things have to be covered in the initial contract, and so we don't typically include cosmetic issues or other things that would have been readily apparent at the time you did the initial purchase. So it is not Christmas shopping time. We really do try to focus on safe, sound, and sanitary. Now what I want to talk about is what you're going to get out of your home inspection. And obviously there's going to be a report that your home inspector provides. Depending on the inspector that you've chosen for your inspection, it may vary slightly from inspector to inspector, but there's really four main things that you're going to get from your home inspection. The first is going to be a list of things that if they're not taken care of by the seller, that you're not willing to proceed with the transaction. And so that's a very important list, and that's what most people think of as the reason that they get their home inspection done, is to generate that list. But the second list that's actually much more important is a list of what I would otherwise just call honeydew items. And those are going to be things that you're going to be taking care of sometime in the next year or two as they come up. They're normal maintenance items of the house. So there are going to be some houses where the paint job is 3 years old and it's still very functional. There's going to be some houses where it's freshly painted and it's not going to come up for 5. But there are some houses that it may need painting next year but doesn't need it quite yet. And so that's just an example of one of those kinds of things. Cleaning gutters, it's another maintenance item. Sometimes we'll ask for sellers for that kind of thing, but more often than not, that shows up on your honeydew list. The next thing that is a very important item that you get is a education and orientation on your own property so that you know how to best take care of it. And your inspector is going to show you things like where the main water shutoff is, how to change the filter on that particular furnace, how the sprinkler system gets drained, some of those kinds of things that are normal homeowner maintenance items that you need to know how to do, and he'll give you some good clues as to kind of where to look for that stuff. And then lastly, this is also really a main gate in the whole process, and so we really do a gut check at our inspection in terms of making a go, no-go decision. Is this still the right house? And sometimes, not often, but occasionally we do come up with a situation where it is really deemed by the buyer to be best to go on to a different property because the issues involved are just too big for what they want to do. And then we have a whole kind of other section of things that I want to make sure we get to talk about here briefly. One is that your inspections have to be paid for at the time of service. And so when you come for your inspection, make sure you bring a checkbook or credit card or something so that you can pay the inspector, because he does take payment at time of service. Depending on the other inspections that get involved, sometimes those can be billed, sometimes not, but your main inspection is virtually always paid for at time of service. Last but not least, we want to make sure that the scheduling of your inspection is done keeping in mind the deadlines in the contract. The inspection objection notice is when we have to provide a written objection to the condition of the property, and if we submit that even a day late, it can be considered to have not been delivered and you're accepting the property as is. And we really don't want to do that if there are material inspection items. So the scheduling the inspection to give us time to get that done, also scheduling your other inspections that may end up being required if there's a well involved, if there's septic, etc., so that those inspections all have enough lead time, because some of them do schedule out further, and we don't want to be in a situation where we're right up against deadline and we don't even have the inspection results back. Hope this was helpful, and looking forward to successful inspection and closing.